Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Welcome back to Geeks Watch. Today I want to talk about the Netflix series called The Burroughs. I've just finished watching this last night. I watched the final episode last night. The Burroughs takes place in a luxury retirement community in the New Mexico desert. It is the only place for miles around. Beautiful, some almost obnoxiously friendly and helpful staff. The main character is Sam, played by Alfred Molina. We learned during the course of the first episode that he's grumpy, he's stubborn. His relationship with his daughter and his son-in-law are strained. His wife has recently died, and it was her idea to move to this retirement village. He wants out of his contract. He's got no interest in it, but so he's adjusting. He has flashbacks of his wife, which occasionally cause panic attacks. He meets his aggressively friendly neighbor named Jack, who is like trying to welcome him to the community. This little cul-de-sac that they live in, trying to get him introduced to all the neighbors, and Jack just having none of it. But pretty much going over the first episode a little bit here. No major spoilers aside from that. But the owner of the retirement community, a very friendly, very helpful man, understanding man, agrees that maybe Sam, he eventually draws up the paperwork to cancel his contract, but asks Sam to give it a try. This is a good community with good people. We all need some place to live. Here is as good a place as any, kind of thing. And they start to win him over. And it's just a really well-written story. The cast of characters is really interesting. His neighbors are the aggressively friendly Jack. There's a couple who live on the other side of him, Art and Judy. She's a retired journalist. He smokes pot while doing morning yoga. There's a retired doctor named Wally, and a retired record manager named Renee. These are his people who live in his cul-de-sac. And they're all kind of quirky, kind of odd. They're all obviously very close and very friendly with each other. And like I said, they kind of win Sam over. There is the thing that kept me watching. A couple things kept me watching, but one of the things is that towards the end of the first episode, Sam has a panic attack. He eventually agrees to go to a barbecue at Jack's house, and all the neighbors of the cul-de-sac are there, and Judy starts to choke. And we've learned through the course of the episode that his wife died very suddenly of a stroke, died in his arms, as a matter of fact. And that's what's causing him all this grief and trauma. And he sees this woman choking and panics and runs away, runs back to his bungalow, and Jack follows him. And he's like, "Hey buddy, you okay?" And Sam's like, "No, I'm not okay. My wife is dead." It's like, and every day, everyone is getting up and smiling and eating and singing, and I hate them all for it. My wife is dead. And that depiction of grief really resonated with me. I've spoken in the past that my mother died when I was 16 in a car accident. It's over 40 years in the past now, so the trauma has grown, still there, but has grown cold. But I remember that feeling. Not that I hated everyone, but that how come everyone else isn't grieving like I am? That feeling that something horrendously tragic has happened to me. How dare everyone go on with their lives normally? Why are they not grieving with me? Why is everyone else not sad? And I realize that's kind of I guess, childish, but you know, that emotion that Sam felt, you know, because I wasn't necessarily angry at the world for not grieving with me. I was just, um, I'm not sure how to put it really in words. I don't know what the emotion is. It wasn't anger. It wasn't grief. It wasn't even. It might have been confusion. But it's like, yeah, it's a beautiful, gorgeous, sunny summer day. And why isn't everyone weeping? You know, especially growing up in a small community like I did, everyone knew. No, you know, small town of 5,000 people, everyone knew by the end of the day. Um, Even many people in the surrounding communities. It was a small mid coast Maine town. Everyone knew my mother had died, and yeah, Sam's grief really resonated with me, um, especially that first episode. And you know, on top of all this in the Burroughs, the residents are being hunted by nightmarish monsters. That's the twist. That's what makes the Burroughs interesting. Beyond that, beyond, you know, the story of Sam and his grief about his dead wife. Um, yeah, the major plot is what about these things that are hunting us in the dark, kind of thing. You know, they sneak into people's homes late at night when they're sleeping. They're these weird, leathery, gray, spidery things with lamplight eyes. So that's kind of the major premise of the film, is that it's this idyllic retirement village that is actually, where the residents are actually being hunted by these horrifically ghoulish nightmare creatures. But after watching that first episode, I realized that this story could work without the nightmare monsters. Um, it would need to be rewritten, but the characters are all very well written and very well acted by the various actors who play their parts. This could easily have been rewritten to be a story about Sam's grief and adjusting to life in this retirement community full of these quirky little characters. Because all his neighbors in the cul-de-sac have their own stories. Um, you know, Wally used to be a doctor. You know, and he's had trauma in his life. Renee is an ex-studio executive, but you know, she's a divorcee, and her ex-husband is a jerk. Art and Judy have their lives and their problems. You know, there's enough interesting stuff going on with these people that you could get rid of the monsters, and you'd still have to rewrite it. You'd have to rewrite the monsters out and throw other plot elements in, but you could do it. It's good enough without the monsters. The first episode is very little monsters. It gets more and more as the story progresses, but like the first 3 or 4 episodes, you could really chuck the monsters out the window and rewrite it to make it about the retirement village, you know, and the people in it. It's that good, in my opinion. Yeah, I watched this, well, after throwing my back out. I really couldn't do much but lay in bed. So that's what I've been doing, is laying in bed and watching Netflix for the last week. So it's still a bit there. I'm getting better, but I have to lay down for a bit after this. Anyway, I really like the Burroughs. It's kooky and funny in its own way. It's darkly humorous. There were some very dramatic moments, some very heartfelt moments, like I've mentioned. I have a couple criticisms in that there were some scenes, maybe some dialogue that really didn't make a lot of sense, but those are very few and far between. There's like maybe 2 or 3 bits of dialogue, and that's towards later in the episodes, later in the and a couple of moments that's like this doesn't work well. But overall, yeah, top notch. Very, very few criticisms. You know, I really like the characters are believable, somewhat over the top, but believable. And I liked them all. And the older I get, the more important that is to me. I just don't have the mental energy to deal with stories with people I don't like. Um, it's why I've, you know, stopped watching movies and series and stopped reading book series when I don't like the characters. So I would highly recommend this. It's not for everybody, but it's really, really well done. So Burroughs on Netflix, 8 episodes, really good. The way it ended, I don't think there'll be another season. It's complete in and of itself. They've given it enough of an opening that they could if they wanted to, but it's very small opening, very small. Oh, so small, so small. As always, thanks for watching. As always, my stuff is crap. And until next time, good hunting.